dear friends. We are glad to welcome you to the roundtable, Advanced Technologies, Will They Help Us in a Crisis? Continuing from the conference, Global Crisis, this already affects everyone. Today's burning issues of artificial intelligence, the environmental crisis, and most importantly, the actual causes and consequences of climate change were discussed by scientists, researchers, professors, businessmen, and political figures from all over the world. People from more than 180 countries worked together on gathering this vital information. The conference was streamed live to thousands of platforms and channels and was simultaneously translated by volunteers into 72 languages. The information presented at the conference is extremely important for everyone. That is why we decided to organize another conference, Global Crisis, Time for Truth. That will be held on December 4th, 2021. We will give even more detailed information about the ecological and climate crisis and destructiveness of the consumerist format of society. This time, even more people are taking part in organizing the conference, and it will again be simultaneously interpreted into more languages so that more people can know the truth. And we gladly invite everyone to join it.
Thank you so much, Sean, for the introduction. And yes, we are hosting these roundtables as a continuation of the conference to raise awareness to the topics discussed at the conference among people. And that's why we invite experts, specialists from various fields to give their professional point of view and detailed analysis and share their feedback on the conference. And today, we would like to highlight some of the topics which were raised during the conference, like Fourth Industrial Revolution and technological unemployment, the development of artificial intelligence in the consumer's format of society, climate crisis and challenges that we already face. And today, we have some very special guests with us. And I would like to welcome Arman Bukayev, participant of the Creative Society project from the Kazakhstan, Anna Werner, truck driver from the USA, Dr. Rinat Akhmettarikov, I apologize, radiologist from Kazakhstan, and Radovan Dobrovodsky, project manager, engineer, and from automotive expert from Austria. Welcome.
Thank you, Kavika. Before we proceed any further, I would like to propose that we watch a short video about the conference. Take a look.
Modern civilization has entered the stage of instability and global crisis.
The future has already arrived. In the field of artificial intelligence, I really understand that today we see tremendous opportunities and possibilities.
We will have human-level intelligence in terms of problem solving, and that we could have that pretty soon.
And in the consumer society we live in today, it will leave us jobless.
Hello, you are fired.
Every owner of some corporation will create a number of machines, fill it with artificial intelligence, so a human being will simply become out of demand in this chain. Millions of people around the world have already become climate refugees. The events are developing at a shocking speed. The force of cataclysms is growing in progression. Their frequency is increasing every day.
What you can see here is in red are the amount of this particular characteristic of the planet, that is left. And we can see that in many cases we have lost more than 60, 50, 60, 70% of this particular ecosystem or species.
We're eating our planet. Maybe it's time we realize our responsibility and solve our problems together.
Because
sudden large-scale natural disasters occur on the planet on a daily basis, and there are fewer and fewer safe places.
Soon, everyone will be hungry, barefoot, naked. Because of consumerism, we are the generation that will see it through. Either we can stand up to it, or it will end with us.
180 countries on the platform of ALLATRA International Public Movement.
It is broadcast live on thousands of YouTube and other streaming channels. Moreover, thanks to volunteers from around the world who understand the importance of this event, the conference is simultaneously translated into 72 languages.
The main value in a creative society is human life, the life of your children, your loved ones.
Only together can we find solutions. And we all want peace and happiness. And together we can create this world.
That's right. Together, we certainly can make a large impact on the world that we live in.
Anna, and can you please tell us about your impressions about the conference?
Hello, everyone. I'm happy to be here. And the conference, it's a huge scale conference. I was really impressed with the information provided in the conference. It touches every aspect of our life. And what I was the most impressed with, because I'm a truck driver, and there are 3.5 million truck drivers in United States alone. And there is already self-driving trucks that will replace us all. Imagine that just 3.5 million people in one country. Worldwide, it's gonna be a lot more people that in just a couple years could stay out of job. And there are even more people that support transportation industry. So the conference opens eyes for on so many problems that it's hard to underestimate. I think everyone should watch it. Even it's a long conference, so maybe people could watch it in parts, but I think every human being on this planet is supposed to see this conference. Thank you.
And Radovan, could you give us your impressions of the conference?
Well, the conference was exactly what I expected to be. It was an enormous event that actually give us the whole picture of events actually that happen around us. For me, as operations design specialist or project manager, which the whole life or his whole work was actually involved in Industry 4.0 and implementing all the instruments into production. It was actually changing the view of those whole instruments, because yes, I saw that first generation of a car in the welding line were like 40 people, and after making a new line for the new generation, there were only 8 people left. And what I saw in my experience is that the education on that level is not offering any further education or re-education of the people, which were actually welding with their own hands. Nowadays, all the welding or, let's say, fabrication operation are made by robots in the body shop. So it made really clear that it's evolving faster than we expected. Literally exceptional. It's like I never guessed it before that it will really evolve that fast as it is evolving nowadays. That's my impression.
Thank you so much, Radovan, for your impressions. And now I would like to pass the word to Rinat. And Rinat, can you tell us what are your impressions about the conference from the point of view as a doctor? Is there something which was interesting for you to hear or learn?
Здравствуйте, дорогие друзья. Прежде всего, большое спасибо за приглашение. Для меня большая честь говорить.
Friends, first of all, let me thank you for inviting me because it's an honor for me to speak about this. The conference Global Crisis, this already affects everyone. After watching this conference, no one can be, careless because the world is changing, and the world we knew like it was yesterday, tomorrow it will not be longer be that world. So climate, ecology, and very many things were discussed, and the most important point is that it was made available by ordinary people, volunteers from 180 countries. The conference was simultaneously interpreted into 72 languages. These actually have never happened before in the history of mankind. So what care of all people who actually joined this conference and make it be. So those people who watched it really realized that it's very vital and very important information, because this truth is what was hidden is very essential. So this global conference is an eye-opener for to many things, and significance cannot be overestimated. Thank you.
Thank you, Rinat. And Arman, would you like to share your impressions of the conference?
Здравствуйте, друзья. Участие в конференции
Hello, dear friends. The participation on the 24th of July, where I was a speaker, was a great honor for me, to take part in this conference, because it's a really historical event. Like it was said, it was broadcast into many platforms. More than 180 countries watched it, and 72 languages of interpretation is actually very responsible. So I'm thankful for the confidence that is rendered to me. The topics raised during this conference were vital for the whole humankind. So these are unemployment, environmental crisis, climate crisis, and they were holistically disclosed by leading experts and scientists and researchers from all over the world. And this is colossal, work of people from all over the world, thanks to whom this conference actually took place. These are volunteers of Allatra International Public Movement, who actually spent their time, their funds, their money. They did not sleep like for long time nights. They conducted interviews, they edited them, they prepared broadcasts, they translated and interpreted them. So I would like to thank everyone who actually was involved in this, so that people all around the world had the opportunity to get to know the information from this conference. So I admire your spiritual purity, because you're disinterested in your aspirations and you act with life for the good of all mankind. So thank you very much.
То, что было мной услышано на конференции,
What I have heard during the conference is really shocking.
наша планета гибнет, и
Our planet is
это
dying,
происходит
and
сейчас.
this actually happens
Сегодня
now.
в потребительском
This is happening now
котором мы
because
существуем,
in the consumer
положил
form
настолько
society, where
доминировал,
really
что люди
the
потеряли человеческий облик.
strive for profit is so
Хищническая добыча
vast that humanness actually
свалку превратили всю
almost
планету.
disappeared.
Ее
We
еще
have made
сотрясают землетрясения.
a garbage dump, our whole planet, and it is shaken by earthquakes. Volcanoes are erupting more and more with every day. Tsunami waves cover the cities, and all these disasters are not, standalone cases, as it may seem at the first glance. In order to see the whole picture of what is happening, you should look holistically at the situation. Although it is almost impossible not to notice what is happening on the planet, but the conference actually showed the seriousness of this situation. Of all the processes that are going on our planet, they are cyclical and they have synchronized. So if we do nothing, actually our flourishing planet will just die, and with it we will die as well. Yes, we are actually at the edge of the cliff, and I would really like everyone, to join hands and walk other way, not, going to throw ourselves down from this cliff. So we must do everything what is in our power to prevent this disaster from happening. Therefore, we need, first of all, from all over the world, all people, we need to unite and we need to change everything. So we have to make this choice, because our choice will result in our descendants, whether they will have a future or they will not. Millions of people around the world actually became refugees, climate refugees right now. This is reality we are living in now. So thank you very much. Thank you, friends.
Thank you so much, Arman, for your words. And yes, the situation is really serious, and the only solution is that we unite and create creative society, build creative society. And also thank you to all other speakers for sharing their impressions. And as we announced, one of the topics we will discuss today is the development and implementation of advanced technologies in our life. Right now, we would like to suggest watching a short video about artificial intelligence technology. It will show how deeply it is already applied in all spheres of our life.
Welcome to the future. Already today, artificial intelligence has been able to synthesize a new antibiotic capable of killing bacteria resistant to the previously known drugs. A fully robotic network of eco-farms, 80 acres of farms under the control of neural networks, produced 300 times more food, consuming 97% less water than an ordinary farm. Meanwhile, autopilots with built-in AI were able to halve the accident rate on the roads. Yes, artificial intelligence can already be found everywhere. After all, the benefits of its implementation are simply enormous. Actions that used to take hours can now be completed in seconds. So, virtual assistants, Siri, Alice, or Google Assistant, based on artificial intelligence, will find the goods you need in a virtual store and make a payment. And an autonomous delivery robot, such as Digit, will bypass all obstacles and deliver your parcel safely. However, if you have not yet decided on what you need, neural networks are able to predict your needs and give the most beneficial recommendations in advance. Surrounding you with care and attention, artificial intelligence will look after your health. A smart mirror in the bathroom, using algorithms for pattern recognition and visual diagnostics, will give you recommendations on taking the necessary vitamins and doing exercises. And it will also do everything to improve your mood. Thousands of applications and sensors are designed to keep your pulse, blood vessels, blood pressure under control. They are able to detect many serious disorders in the early stages and inform you in advance about the need to visit a doctor, can prevent a heart attack, oncology, and other dangerous diseases. Thus, IBM released an application for oncologists. The system contains 600,000 medical reports and 2 million pages from medical journals. Based on this information, AI makes efficient recommendations for additional tests or a treatment plan, increasing the accuracy of diagnosis up to 40% and having the cost of medical care. But that's only a fraction of what it's capable of. Nanorobots controlled by neural networks can detect disorders and deliver drugs directly to damaged tissues. The next step is to rebuild the body at the molecular level, aiming to complete healing, up to the restoration of lost limbs. What about trivial everyday issues? Specifically for lovers of careless life, Samsung has created a bot, Handy Robot, with built-in AI. Capable of collecting laundry in the house, loading the dishwasher, setting the table, pouring and bringing drinks. At the same time, smart security systems allow you to block access to the house when suspicious activity is detected. It autonomously notifies emergency services and prevents theft. But that's not all. AI shows outstanding success even in creative fields. It creates paintings, music, films, and even literary works. For example, the artificial intelligence GPT-2 wrote its first play. It managed to create something similar to the futuristic Little Prince at that. Meanwhile, Jukebox from OpenAI writes music with meaningful lyrics and vocals. For poetry lovers, Google's tool Verse by Verse will help you create delightful poems. But AI is also capable of more serious work. For example, digitizing all libraries and archives with the access to them 24/7 from anywhere in the world. In addition, it is able to recognize voices and texts in different languages with translation into any other language, as well as to teach people to draw, compose music, and even program. Whatever area we touch upon, AI is everywhere, ready to offer us its digital helping hand. Even in legal matters, a virtual lawyer, Do Not Pay, for the first 2 years of work won more than 160,000 cases, spending no more than 2 minutes on each case, significantly saving time as well as money of its clients. And the capabilities of artificial intelligence are only growing. At the Japanese robotic factory, Fanuc, hundreds of robots build other robots on their own and no longer need human help. Around the world, there are tens of thousands of industries in which human participation is almost not required because the main work is being performed by machines. Perhaps, for the first time, we will be able to free ourselves from hard and routine work. But all of this is only a small part of the achievements that AI has already brought into our lives and will bring in the near future, since the pace of its development is close to exponential, and that means that every minute the technology is getting better. One can only imagine what a wonderful future awaits us. The main thing is that this future would actually come.
Wow. I've personally myself would love that home robot, or maybe even the smart mirror. The development of artificial intelligence and robots is a testament to human ingenuity and intelligence. We've come a long way from being hunter-gatherers to now developing robots to do even the most simple tasks. We can see that these technologies can help us in many ways. They solve a lot of routine and challenging issues. They can develop new medicine, monitor the environment, and manage the whole process of production, which is great help. But one must ask yourself, is there any place left for a human in this scenario? As we can see right now, many people could lose their jobs to automation, and mostly because automation and robotization, as well as implementation of artificial intelligence technology, is in the process of production and delivery process, cutting out humans entirely. So I want to ask our guests, our participants, Radovan, in your opinion, what are the pros and cons of the fourth industrial revolution? What conditions should be created in a society so that advanced technologies could serve humanity and not replace us?
Thank you. My opinion or my experience about Industry 4.0 is actually that all the fabrication processes, for example, in automotive, were almost automated. So if we take first, actually, the basement of it all gave Ford with the first conveyor belt about 1913, which he actually got the opportunity for in the industry the people to standardize their work, which means actually you can change a man on the conveyor belt without losing the know-how. And this was the base. So all the industry went to standardization, which actually Toyota took into perfection, where all the tools for a worker, they are on the reach on the hand, and they are applying the one touch, one motion principle to all the lines. And nowadays, what we have in automotive is the press shop is fully automated, which the press actually in 1 minute can make to 100 parts, which then are separated from the robots into the containers, and they are then brought with driverless transportation to the body shop. Then you have the automation, which I already mentioned, is that nowadays on such a line, which is about 500 meters wide, they are only working like 4 people. Then you have the paint shop, and the only part of automotive is nowadays is the assembly line, because you have there a lot of parts which are getting into the car, no stable vectors, which can nowadays handle robots, which would be stationary positioned. So, and that's what, but there's one thing which people don't quite get now, because mostly people see those robots as a futuristic event that will not occur in a short time. That's because they are working on assembly lines or such lines which really are human operated. So they can't just nowadays quite imagine how fast it is. But what we have in the assembly lines nowadays is the rapid implementation of exoskeletons, which increase the productivity rate about 30%. About 30%, that's so 1/3. So if they're on a conveyor belt or on assembly line, now we're working 100 people. In the future, with the exoskeletons, you will have like 1/3 of them just lose their jobs. And before like 2 days, there already was announced that Tesla will build a Tesla bot, which is exactly imagined to do those works in the assembly line. And if we say next year will be the prototype ready, in my experience, in 2 years, we will have them already in the lines, making those same movement that we do nowadays when we work on an assembly line. So, in a way, that's very positive, because those routine movements and ergonomic, not very well workplaces will be, there will be integrated robots. But what about those people? So in a consumer format of society, that's something that is not really good for the people, because they will be on the street, and the education is not so fast evolving as the industrialization and automation. In the creative society, or in the format of creative society, there will be much more time for a human being to evolve as a human being and to implement all his potential in tasks which suits the human race. And one more thing, one quite thing I would like to also to say is that many people, if they see their environment in which are they working, they would say, okay, I don't think my employer has the investments for such automatization. But with the Industry 4.0, it was also so-called low-cost automatization, which nowadays, not only the technology evolves, but it becomes also cheaper, and it can be easily adapted into any workplace you can imagine. That's how I see it now.
Thank you so much, Radovan, for sharing this information. That's actually very interesting to listen. So it seems like that 2/3 of the people will lose their job pretty soon to this fully automated assembly line. That's actually pretty scary in the consumer's format. So the only way out is creating creative society. And right now I would like to pass the word to Rinat. Rinat, we know that you also wanted to share on the topic of technologies. Why is development so important and necessary right now? And what is the opposite side of its application in the consumer format of society?
Thank you for giving me the floor. Right, today we've been just observing just a huge, enormous technological progress, and it is already kind of becoming the part of our life. And every day, neural networks, they win sort of the competition, and they outperform millions of people in all the professions. And in the near future, I believe that there will be no such profession where a person can be more effective than artificial intelligence. And of course, AI should be given credit just in his potential, right? It is immersed, and AI already creates medicines and manages traffic. So it is really very efficient in all the spheres of our life. But an important point is that the format of the society where AI would be used. Because if we go on existing in the consumer format of society, then AI development will lead to robotization, to just replacing people in their jobs, and actually to technological unemployment. And just already today there are such facts at the factories and plants that already people lose their jobs because of these automated processes. And in the consumer format of society, we just have to pay for everything. And if we do not just change the format of the society from the consumer into the creative one, then very soon billions of people will be left without means of sustenance. And in consumer format of society, the main value is money, whereas in the creative society, the highest value is human life, the life of each person. That is why I'm just convinced that it is necessary in the shortest time possible to change the format of society, because later, if we just postpone it, then everything will be bad. And of course, we cannot compete with the robots because they're more efficient in their work, and the importance of AI, of course, is very important, but it is just a tool, and it's important that AI would be working at its maximum, and with just benefit for all the people. Because again, if in the consumer format of society, money is just high priority, while in the creative societies, human life is the highest priority. And that is why it is very important which to choose.
Thank you, Renat. I totally agree. It seems that corporations and companies are all ready to replace human workers to increase profit and means of production. We just discussed how advanced technologies are in our society already, and what evolutionary leaps of technological development awaits us in the future. But all of this is only possible in a creative format of society. In a consumer's format, many people will be left without jobs or money to pay for simple food or a place to live. Also, we know that right now humanity is facing not only technological challenges, but Anna, could you please share with us what is the climatic situation in your region? Are people informed about what is really happening? Or do they face natural disasters unexpectedly and hope to cope with them on their own?
Thank you, Sean, for giving me the word. And as a truck driver, I traveled all over the country, United States, for the last 5 years. And I started noticing a lot of abnormal weather events. And the very first one was 2017. It was a snowstorm in May 17th. And I was surprised to see snow falling when the leaves were green, and there were about 40 inches of snow that day, and it was freezing. So it affected crops, and a lot of people got stuck because the roads were closed in Wyoming and Colorado. And a couple years later, we got a snowstorm in Denver, Colorado, and in Rocky Mountains. There was a snowstorm in June, and the people went skiing instead of enjoying the summer weather. So in most cases, the snowstorms are predicted about 3 days in advance. That's all people have to prepare for it. A lot of accidents that affects human life. A lot of people don't even know how to drive in a weather like that, especially like summertime. You have snow. Also, I witnessed flooding in Nebraska and Iowa. It was 2019, and it was a huge scale flood. I'm mentioning those events that are well known on news, and these events it's pretty scary. This flood, people didn't really have a lot of time to prepare and leave their houses. A lot of fields were flooded, so people lost crops. were gone. People lost everything. And this flood closed roads for months. For many months, all the traffic had to go 100 miles more to get to Kansas City. And again, it affected my job again. And also the very last event I witnessed myself just last year in 2020, there was a snowfall in Texas. And the Texas climate, it's a warm climate, so infrastructure is not prepared for freezing conditions. Thousands and thousands of people lost power in their homes, which left them without heating. And when the weather is freezing, imagine you don't have any tools to stay warm, and that affected so many people. And what I wanted to share that it's unexpected. With flooding, you don't have time to prepare. And also one of the events I saw, it was fires in Colorado. And fires, you have a few hours. If the fire starts somewhere, people had in some cases, people have minutes to evacuate. They just grab all the essentials, their documents, and leave. And what impresses me, just these events I mentioned, if you look up on media, all you find is money losses. So how much money were lost in damages. And it's not about people. Nobody talks what happened to those people after these disasters happen. And you see, in Texas, there was a great example. I have a friend from Austin, Texas, and she was sharing the information that they got lucky and they didn't lose the power. So they were inviting people who lost their power to stay at their house to help them to wait till their houses become warm again, after their power restored. And that was a beautiful case that inspires. And I believe that in current situation, we need to spread humanity, compassion, and help to each other, just like people in Texas were helping each other to go through very hard times. And yes, a creative society, in my opinion, is the answer to that, because when people treat people with respect and dignity, then it becomes easier. Because if I have to go somewhere, I will see the friend and I know that I'm going to receive help. In opposite way, if somebody has to come to stay in my house, right, I will accept them and treat them with respect and compassion. And yes, that's what's going on with climate. Unfortunately, we're not predicting it fast enough, but modern technology, I think, would help us to forecast climatic events more accurately and give people time to evacuate. Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much, Anna, for sharing this very interesting information and this inspirational story with the woman from Texas who was actually helping others and providing her house. These examples are exactly what we need, these examples of kindness, humanness, this respect. That's the normal human behavior, and that's the only way how can we all survive all these serious climatic changes which are happening right now. And we see the seriousness of the situation, not just from Anna's words, but we can just look out of the window and just look at the news, what's happening around the world, and what we are facing as a humanity. We face several challenges in all spheres of our life. The disasters that are happening, they're not affecting just one country or one nation. They're affecting the whole world. None of us is safe today. Neither a wealthy person or just a regular person or a regular worker. We are not confident in our future, and we are not sure tomorrow that we are our children. We all have means to live a decent life. Because when a climatic disasters happen, what will you do? Are you going to give your money to the hurricane just to make it avoid your house? I mean, we all understand that this is complete nonsense. And we all need to overcome these difficulties together. Like Anna was mentioning this example, just help each other. And Arman, we would like to now pass the word to you and ask how harmful it is now to be skeptic or indifferent.
Спасибо.
Thank you.
Практически не осталось времени.
Well, I believe that we just have a little time left, and it's not just a horror story, as many people might think, because what might some people notice, the sun is shining and beautiful weather, and so, but of course, it's a huge problem what makes people indifferent and so careless, and people just do not want to understand that we've got very little time left, and very, very soon it will happen that we will not have anything what we have today, and it will be just fighting for survival, just for bread, a piece of bread and a sip of water. And when you start just to explain people what is really happening today and what it might lead in the nearest future, well, and in response, what you hear is just they're laughing out loudly, and even some so-called the sofa critics, right? They, well, just make jokes at this topic, and but you haven't thought that among these refugees and people who suffer from climatic disasters, many of your friends and dear ones might be as well. And we should understand today that each person today is really very valuable, even those who laugh at us and who laugh at this information, because there are 8 billion of us, and the more people, there are more energy, right? So if we unite, we can do a lot. And even when there were just 7 billion of us, probably it was not possible, but today it is already possible to get united and to make our world a better place to live in. And we should just spread this information so more people get to know about it. And after, watching the conference on the 24th of July, there are so many facts and statistics with experts' words and testimony, so to say. Everything is explained what is happening to our world today, because it's just time really for all the people to wake up, and because our common house is the earth, and just by getting united we can just save our common house and start living in it as one big family in the society of creation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Arman. And Rinat, can you please also share your opinion about the necessity of unification of people?
After watching the conference Global Crisis, this already affects everyone. It becomes clear the necessity of building the creative society. In that format of society that we're living in, the loss of work is, of course, the overwhelming majority is it's a huge problem. And, of course, it will lead to unemployment and to the absence of means of sustenance. And that is why it is really very important to realize that only the creative society technologies will serve all the people and will be serving to the good of all humankind. And as the speakers have told us that unity of all people, regardless of their nationalities and worldviews, will give us this chance not just to survive but to start a better life. And if we just take, an analogy with our body, so to say, organism, So each cell of our body shares what it has with other cells. So what I'm trying to say is that the cells of the brain, they do not compete with the cells of other organs, but all the cells in the body, they work coherently and together, and so but sometimes there are tumor appear in our body, and of course then these tumor cells, they take all just very precious stuff from our body and our cells. And just alongside with this example, with this analogy, I would say that we people, we behave, or we have behaved in such a way on our planet, these tumor cells in the human body. That is why, right, we do not need fighting and or competing. This conference has showed that only the creative format of society can guarantee the preservation of the whole civilization. And at this conference, there was an expert from the video with the participation of Mikhailovich Danilo, where he says that that actually the future of all the people lies in the hands of each person. It all depends on the choice of each person, at the present time. And we are all going through just another cycle of cosmic processes, and that is which lasts for about 12,000 years. And mass media do not talk about, do not reveal this information. And but in fact, it is, these cataclysms are increasing and still will be increasing, and that is why humankind will have to go through hardships and difficult times. That is why it is very important for the whole humanity to define the highest moral and spiritual values on the basis of which all the people, all the future generations would believe in on, and would be able to cope with the common cataclysms and with any challenges, but again, on the condition that we get united.
Thank you, Renat. Absolutely. It's very important for us to unite. And as many of you have mentioned already, unification in a creative society is the only way that we can face the climatic and technological issues facing humanity today and in the future. Anna, I want to ask you, now that we know that these are issues and that they are becoming a problem for humanity, how vital is it for people to know this truth? And more so, how important is it to be a carrier of this truth and to share this information with others?
Thank you, Sean. Yes, it's hard to even express how important it is. Unification is the only way for people to be helpful to each other in climatic disasters and get over the trials with transitioning from development of artificial intelligence, and the jobs are going to be gone, and how we're going to do it without hurting each other, with the best value, and how can we benefit it. It's extremely important to be to carry the word. It's extremely important to talk to all your friends, to your family about it. Even sometimes people don't want to hear that, but you share it and you be example. You be a positive example, and we should begin with ourselves because we already know the information. We already did a lot of research, and if you share it from the heart, then people hear it differently, and they see that we can be just human beings. We could treat each other with these human values, highest human values, and creative society gives a lot of answers, like 8 foundations. Human life is number one, and I truly believe that people can unite and be an example. Let's be an example to each other. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anna, for your nice words. And now I would like to pass the word to Radovan. And Radovan, what are the best ways of spreading the information about creative society as the only solution? Because we know it's the only solution. And could you please share your personal experience using social networks as a Facebook or some other social networks? Thank you.
Thank you for the word. Yeah, that's great tool, I would say. So everybody around us has this extension of himself for communication, and that is a cell phone. So nowadays, everybody has a smartphone. Even old ladies do not use those old-time telephones. So everybody has the chance to spread the word about the creative society. And it is not as difficult to do that. The only break or the only obstacle that actually there is, it's only in the mind, because people were not used to collaborate. As I've said before, they were all used, and from 1913, they were all used, or the human thinking for collaboration was put into a box that you have to get there on the line, and doesn't interest you what the others do. So only to do your work. And that's actually the issue nowadays. And that's where we have to improve ourselves. That means to look on the people as our collaborators, friends, and which are on the same line of communication and deeds also. So that's also what I would like to say about the experience. The first of experience was, yes, when I talked about creative society in the social networks, people there are more not personal, I would say, so disguised underneath the phone. So the loss of the contact, the personal contact, eye to eye, it makes them feel more invulnerable. So they do say things and write things that actually they will not talk like that into your eyes. And that is actually what I have always in my mind. That is, yes, the person maybe is not reacting in the right way or necessarily not using the right words. But I know if I could, that's not the real person. Because if I meet that person eye to eye, he would not behave like that. He would not choose those words like he chose on the social network. And that's what I have always in mind, that it is not necessarily the man behind those words, because there's another man, another human being, which actually in his deepest himself wants to thrive as a human being. He wants to open the whole potential of his being. So that's my experience. So I wanted to share.
Thank you, Radovan. Arman, and I also want to ask you, as we know, the change of the format of our society from a consumer to a creative one depends on each and every one of us. How important is it to inform all the people in the world and inspire them to act.
I believe that there is just one solution to our problem. This is the building of the creative society. Because in the creative society, the highest value is human life. And the creative society just excludes the concept of power and creates conditions for changing the very format of the relationships, and that is why creates conditions for us to be able to change our future. And the whole technical progress begins to serve all the people on Earth. As a result, the Earth's resources, or the chemical destruction of the Earth's resources disappears, and technologies come to minimize all these troubles. So that is why it's so important for all of us to get united, and each person who really wants to do good to all the humanity should do his best for building the creative society. Thank you so much.
And dear guests, we want to sincerely thank you for your participation in today's roundtable, and for sharing your experience and ideas, and for supporting the creative society. Your contribution is extremely valuable, so we thank you. And many thanks to our viewers. We would like to remind you that today's roundtable was held in continuation of the conference Global Crisis, This Already Affects Everyone. Today, we have once again raised critically important topics for all mankind to consider. What seemed impossible to us yesterday is already happening today. And tomorrow, it will be even worse and more serious. Unification, as we've heard from many of our panelists, is possibly our only way out of the ecological and technological crisis facing us. It's time for us to consciously and honestly, with courage, look at the reality of our world, the world that we want to leave to our children. It's time for us as humans to grow up and to take responsibility and start acting together as one human race. We need to clearly understand that even if we stop producing plastic, polluting our oceans, and reducing the CO2 emissions in our atmosphere, unfortunately, this will not save us. Yes, we can take care of our planet, but the situation is such that while we are cleaning the oceans, the growing cataclysms will simply not leave us a chance to survive. And only by changing the format of society from a consumer, destructive society to a creative one, where human lives come first, will we be able to consolidate our efforts and develop the technologies necessary for a timely and dignified response to threats. Restoration of damaged territories and salvation from future cataclysms. Today, we still have a chance to survive, to build a creative society in a world which life of every person will be of the highest value.
Thank you so much, Sean. And yes, thanks to the people from more than 180 countries who are already uniting and organizing global conferences on the elytra platform, more and more people are learning the truth and the real solutions. Thus, preparations have already begun for the next large-scale conference, in which the topic of environmental and climate crisis, as well as the consequences of the consumer format of society, will be even more deeply revealed. On December 4th, 2021, the online international conference, Global Crisis, Time for the Truth, will take place. And we would like to invite everyone, not only to view it, but also, if you're interested, to participate in its organization. The last conference was simultaneously interpreted into 72 languages. Can you imagine? That's unprecedented. And this time, there will be even more languages. So if you do know any rare language, we are happy to invite you to join a huge international friendly team of simultaneous interpreters, so that the truth can also sound in your language as well. And if you're a specialist or a scientist who is ready to tell the truth to people about the current environmental situation and climate change, or just a person who really cares about our future, about the future of our kids, please write to the following email: info@allatraunites.com to participate in the international roundtables dedicated to this conference. And if you haven't joined the Creative Society project yet, we invite you to watch a short video on how to do it. See you at the next international roundtable. Thank you so much.